Baltimore is celebrating. I'm here at the intersection of North and Pennsylvania streets. This was a focal point for the protests over the last 2 weeks following the violent death of Freddie Gray. You might in fact recognise the pharmacy over here that was set alight on Monday night. But today the mood is very different indeed. Speaking to people, they feel relieved, a sense of excitement at the idea that in this case, that in the violent death of Freddie Gray, justice may well be done. Baltimore's newly elected state's attorney delivered the answers few had expected to hear.
The findings of our comprehensive, thorough, and independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges.
Community members cheered the stunning declaration from the city steps. Attorney Marilyn Mosby revealed criminal charges against all 6 police involved in Freddie Gray's death.
Officer Cesar Goodson is being charged with second-degree depraved heart murder, involuntary manslaughter, second-degree negligent assault.
The charges range from murder to manslaughter to assault and false imprisonment, and reveal for the first time the full horror of what happened to 25-year-old Freddie Gray. Firstly, the city prosecutor says he was arrested without due cause since he'd committed no crime. Officers pinned him down, then loaded him into the back of a police van. Soon after, they stopped to shackle his hands and feet.
Mr. Gray suffered a severe and critical neck injury as a result of being handcuffed, shackled by his feet, and unrestrained inside of the BPD wagon.
The Baltimore Police Department wagon stopped 5 times more in the next half hour as it wound around the city streets with Mr. Gray shackled inside. According to the prosecutor, officers checked on Mr. Gray but didn't call for help despite his asking repeatedly for a medic.
Despite Mr. Gray's seriously deteriorating medical condition, no medical assistance was rendered or summoned for Mr. Gray at that time by any officer.
By the time they reached the station, Freddie Gray was no longer breathing. The medic who was finally called declared his condition critical. Freddie Gray died a week later. Massive protests followed his funeral. Buildings were set alight, police fired tear gas, and a citywide curfew was put in place. Closing her comments, Marilyn Mosby called on Baltimore's youth to stand with her as she pursues the truth.
I will seek justice on your behalf. This is your moment. Let's ensure that we have peaceful and productive rallies that will develop structural and systemic changes for generations to come. You're at the forefront of this cause, and as young people, our time is now. And for some sense of how swiftly this story has changed, while we've been speaking to protesters over the last few days, part of their anger has stemmed from the fact that these 6 police were suspended but were still on paid leave. Today we understand that 5 of the 6 of them are already in custody. This is a massive change. Remember Ferguson, remember Eric Garner in New York, remember Tamir Rice in Cleveland. All of those cases, it went to a grand jury and ultimately there was no decision taken to charge police. In this case, Baltimore has moved very swiftly to respond. One of the key people who've been very present in the protest has been Congressman Elijah Cummings, who had this to say today.
And they had begun to believe that the system could not work for them. So many of them have felt like the system had worked against them. And so again, we are beginning the process. And so let the wheels of justice begin to roll, and it's good that they are rolling as opposed to standing still.
So every indication today that Baltimore is going to continue celebrating this news. This doesn't mean the heat is off the city. This doesn't mean that the mayor has suddenly found overwhelming support. But in the case of what has happened to this young man, this 25-year-old young man, there is a sense that in this case the system may just be working.